Patrick Schwarzenegger, actor, model, plays Tim Tebow in FX's American Sports Story. Aaron Hernandez, Tuesdays on FX, the next day on Hulu. We spoke to him last week, and the first question I ask is, what made you take the role of Tim Tebow?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, first off, I'm a huge sports fan, massive football fan from college to NFL. So obviously, I knew a lot about this story, and obviously, I knew a lot about Tim Tebow. But from an actor's point of view, I was, it's always my goal to kind of work on projects that are going to hopefully elevate me, that I can learn from other actors or learn, work with really great producers or directors. And when I had the opportunity to work with Ryan Murphy again, that was a blessing. It's always great to work with him. He produces such great content. So that was kind of what first drew me in. And then it was just this story. I mean, it's really just a heartbreaking, fascinating true crime story. And Tim Tebow's just a sliver of the story, but he really gets to kind of provide this light at the end of the tunnel for Aaron and for the story, and he's kind of this humanizing element. So for me, it was a no-brainer to play.
But do you have to become Tim Tebow? I mean, I know size-wise you can't, but what are you trying to emulate or represent with Tim Tebow?
Yeah, for kind of my research when I was doing Tim, I mean, I was listening to every single audiobook of his. I mean, for me, it was really the voice, the physicality, like you said, although I couldn't get to the size in such a short amount of time, how Tim kind of conducts himself as this larger than life teddy bear that's just full of energy and how he talks. So I worked with a voice coach a lot on trying to get elements of kind of his lisp and then how he talks. He's always like this, and he's just always bunched up, and he's almost about to run out of energy and run out of words, and it's like he doesn't take a breath during his voice and when he's talking. So that I watched probably hundreds of hours of his sermons, of him preaching at different campuses and stadiums, because we have some scenes like that in the show. So I did my best to try to emulate him in other ways besides just the physical build.
What about football scenes? Are there going to be any that you have to be a football player? You have to be Tim Tebow on the field.
Yeah, so I think it was pretty funny because I grew up playing football. I mean, I enjoy it. I love sports. So I would call myself athletic. And when I went for the football training camp, and on the first day we had to do kind of some of the drills, I'm very comfortable except for the fact of Tim is lefty. So everything was kind of reversed from the three-step drop back to when you would go for the throwing motion. And throwing a football lefty is the most awkward, weird thing if you're a right-hand person, So what they ended up having to do was I would go to throw the ball, and right when I would pretend to throw the ball, they would yell out pause, and then a real performer could come in, take my place, throw the football lefty, and then they would say pause again, and then I would come back in and pretend I threw the ball. So that was how we kind of got the Hollywood way around me throwing lefty.
Did you meet Tim Tebow?
I've met Tim, once in the past, and he was such a great, nice guy to me. But I didn't meet him for this at all. I didn't obviously want to respect him, and this is not a quote unquote documentary. It's more of a dramatized version of events that happen and stuff. So, but he's always been, really kind and supportive towards me, and I have a lot of mutual friends with him. But I didn't reach out to him for this.
American Sports Story, Aaron Hernandez, 10-episode limited series. It already premiered on the 17th, and it's 10 Eastern Pacific, and season finale November 12th. What did you find out about Aaron Hernandez that you didn't know?
Well, I think that there were kind of like different time periods for me of when I learned about this. Obviously when it first kind of happened and everything was coming out and circulating in the news, and then there were further podcasts, which this show was actually about, and then even of recent there was the documentary, and then there was stuff on the Swampkins and on the Florida Gators. So I would say I knew a lot. I think for me it was really interesting since I'm playing Tim Tebow, was really learning about the Florida Gators and kind of what else was happening behind the scenes during this tenure there. I was pretty shocked about all the arrests and the troubles within the football program and at the school during the time. And then I would also say it was pretty, interesting to learn about Aaron's childhood and kind of some of the other events that happened in his life that I don't want to say that led to where he kind of went, but had impacts on who he was that probably the general public didn't know. From his family dynamic, family situation, and what had happened with his father, and just I think that's what makes this show, pretty interesting, is that it covers all bases from, high school up until, the end.
How much pressure was there on you to be a bodybuilder, to lift weights?
Oh, zero. Zero pressure.
In the household, not at all?
No, I mean, I think the thing with my dad is he's very there's a lot of pressure to find your dreams and your goals and your passions, whether that is bodybuilding, whether that's acting, or whether you want to be a school teacher, or you want to be a podcast host, or you want to be work at the local church and do philanthropy, whatever that is. That's what he's more of a believer in, and really like kind of taking a step back in your life, having this vision of where you want to go, and then how do you utilize each and every day or each and every month and so on and so forth to get closer and closer towards those goals. But he never pressured me at all to do bodybuilding. He never put me into pressure to do acting, but I fell in love with acting going to the sets with him growing up. It was like my favorite activity. He would always let me play hooky from school and go and sit on his set back when they would film everything in LA. But never towards bodybuilding.
What movie or set moment stands out all those times you went with Dad?
When he was Mr. Freeze, that was the best. I have these photos of me with him with the outfit, and I would have the before and after when he would go into the trailer to hair and makeup, and he was Dad, and then getting the bald cap and the blue all over him and the huge, Mr. Freeze suit and stuff like that. But going to set growing up was like, anytime he had a break, we got to take the golf cart and go over to the ET ride, or we could go over to Jaws at Universal Studios. It was like it was the best.
If you can wave a magic wand and have your USC Trojans, your Dodgers, or Lakers win another championship,
Oof.
who would it be?
I feel like this right now, I'm going to go with the Dodgers. I mean, we've just put too much on the line this year. We've invested so much. We've had heartbreak year after year the last couple of years, and everyone says the asterisk with the 2020 season and such, so I'm going with the Dodgers. I mean, I think we have a bright future ahead. I don't know. The Lakers' future doesn't seem nearly as bright. So I'm going to go with the Dodgers.
All right. Coolest actor you ever met growing up?
Coolest actor. I don't know if you'd qualify him as an actor, but Guy Fieri.
Oh, yeah, we've had him on the show quite a few times.
I'm a huge fan. I love the Flavor Town.
Have you been on the show?
I've never been on his show.
Oh,
and then
I'll
I would
work
probably
on that.
say, yeah, please do. I would love to do it.
Okay, but that'll go over well at home if Guy decides to come to your place or takes you out. You go out to a restaurant. You know how this works.
Yeah, bring him over. Slap some meat on the grill. Let's do it.
Okay, that sounds great. Good luck with the show. Great to catch up with you, and thanks for joining us, Patrick.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it, and have a great day. Have a great week.
Patrick Schwarzenegger. The show is American Sports Story. Aaron Hernandez, he portrays Tim Tebow.